Chile is a country celebrated for its wine and its varied landscapes, and now it's making a mark with its focus on technology. When it comes to science, Chile is leading the region but needed more coordinated policies throughout the government, and that led to the creation of its very own Ministry of Science in 2018. Tell us more about that and why you're in the position that you're in.
We have a rich tradition of science and technology, but this is a new start with a new institution within government that places science at the center of government. The fragmented and the dispersion of the institutions, of the programs and initiatives, make it very difficult to have a strategic view. And so we've promoted science with very good programs of, for example, individual funding grants, with associative grants, but we need a more strategic view that takes into account our people, but also takes into account what we call natural labs, those conditions of our territory that makes us unique, because we have the clear skies in the north, therefore we can attract observatories for astronomy, but we have also a close proximity to Antarctica, and we have a very long coast for oceanographic studies. And so we want to add value to those territories and use them for scientific research so that we can provide knowledge, but knowledge based not only on global issues, but also on very specific and very particular local issues which can have a global impact.
You could say that science is in Andres Couve's DNA. It's how he spent his entire career in research and development. He's led the Millennium Institute of Biomedical Neuroscience and has been published in more than 40 international journals.
We need a lot more people to join science. We need a lot more people to start careers in science at university. We're a very small community. In developed countries, you have approximately 7 researchers per 1,000 employees. In Chile, we have 1 researcher per 1,000 employees. So it's a very small community. And the challenge is to increase the size of the community, but also make it a lot more connected with society, so we can have not only an increase in academia, but also we call it to populate an ecosystem with researchers that can work in academia, but also in the private industry, which is one of the big gaps that we have to fill, and also in government. So we'll have an ecosystem of public, private, and academia working towards the goal of having more research as part of our society.
But what about technology and innovation in the field of artificial intelligence? Chile claims it has the capacity, and it wants to take the AI lead in Latin America. President Piñera launched this plan for artificial intelligence, and that's all everyone is talking about right now, AI. It seems like there's this global race in AI. Why is it important to Chile, and where do you stand there?
Yeah. We've defined 3 main topics of work. One is about the factors that will allow us to do more AI, and that is human capital, and that it is infrastructure, data centers. And then we have another aspect which we call market or development and implementation, where we need to develop more research programs, but also incentives so that companies may use it more. And finally, which is very, very important, we have another section which deals with ethical issues, regulation, standards, safety.
It's scary. I mean, that's the scary part of it.
But this is the thing. We know that 70% of the people are afraid of AI because of, essentially because of the fear of job losses. And so we have to take that into account, that we have citizens which are worried about this. And so one aspect has to be to also deal with the risks. How are we as a society going to deal with the risks of making it transparent, to explain it properly, to deal with ethical risks, to deal with the economic risks, to deal with the job problems that will arise. But dealing with the risks doesn't mean that the fear has to paralyze us. These are opportunities to jump into the 4th technological revolution, and this is the way that President Piñera has stressed it, that we should approach the AI field. It's a field of great opportunities in which Chile cannot lag behind.
In the last decade, the country helped establish more than 1,600 startups with an initiative called Startup Chile. We know the president has traveled across the world, but I want to point out in the United States, visiting a lot of tech companies. And it seems your country has become this hub for investment in the region, attracting the likes of Amazon and those kind of big names. What else is on the agenda as far as bringing that tech maybe as an alternative to Silicon Valley, for example?
Yes.
I mean, what's happening there in the tech atmosphere?
Well, several things. Something very specific. We have a new center called the Data Observatory, which is a data center that will collect data from the observatories, from astronomy. It will curate it and it will make it available for research and for entrepreneurs and innovation. As a partner, we have Amazon Web Services. So Amazon Web Services is a partner of this data observatory with other universities and the government as well. But something which I find very interesting is that we have very good talent in Chile. So we have very good engineers that may work in the development of data science and AI. And as a result, we're beginning to attract companies to open offices in Chile, not for commercializing the products, but for developing the technology. And this, I think, is a comparative advantage to Silicon Valley because there's good people and the people want to stay there and the companies are just beginning to emerge. And so we don't have the pull from these big companies that make the lifetime of an engineer, one of these companies, about 18 months. So we think that we can have a stable participation of engineers that will make it very attractive for companies to come to Chile and use this talent that will stay there for a long time and therefore can be a great asset to the company.
You got quality of life there. I mean, you sound very excited about the future.
I am very excited because I think technology has always been very challenging, but every technological revolution has provided great benefits to mankind, to humans. However, you need to treat it with responsibility.
Minister Couve, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank you very
appreciate
much
it.
for the invitation.